Jim Wade here again. Today we're actually going to talk about general liability insurance. So over the past 4 little videos, we talked about property insurance. If you've missed those, feel free to go to our website. They're always loaded there and ready to go and ready to be downloaded. There's white papers to support them as well. So let's talk about general liability. We're going to talk for about 2 seconds about what general liability covers. And from an apartment community, and I could spend 3 hours on that, but from an apartment community standpoint, you're looking at bodily injury and property damage. Somebody getting hurt on your premises or some property damage being caused by your operations. And people always say, well, how could that happen? Well, if your apartment community burns up and it burns down the neighborhood next to you, that would be property damage to somebody else, and they might come back and have some issues with you on that. But most of the time what we look at liability is bodily injury. Anytime you look at a standard liability proposal, and I'm going to throw one up on the screen right now, what do we see there? We see a $2 million aggregate, a $1 million per occurrence, a $1 million products and completed operations, a $1 million personal advertising injury, and $5,000 medical expense. That's kind of the standard policy that you'll see, or the standard coverages in a proposal. We're not going to get into all that today. I can tell you this, when you're analyzing 2 proposals, all that stuff's the same. You don't need to worry about it. I mean, I can explain what each one of them are, call me, but they're all the same. General liability policies are standardized policies, so nothing really differs except for the exclusions, which is what we're going to talk about in a minute. But here's the one thing that maybe you might look at, is the $5,000 medical expense. And that's the one everyone goes, wow, what does that mean? Does that mean I only get paid $5,000 of medical expenses if somebody gets hurt? No. What that means is that's a no-fault coverage that the insurance company throws in for you. If somebody gets hurt on your property, the insurance company is not going to automatically step up and pay whatever medical expenses they have. If they fall down the stairs and they break their hip, and there's $20,000 of expenses, they don't necessarily step up and pay that unless they found that you were somehow negligent in that whole situation. But they will allow $5,000 of a no-fault payment on your behalf to keep everybody out of litigation on some of these small things. So if somebody slips and falls and they sprain their ankle, and you saw it and you realized the steps were wet, and maybe there was, let's get them to the hospital, let's get their ankle fixed, and you can write a check up to $5,000 and the insurance company will reimburse you automatically. I got to tell you, I actually don't like that coverage. I exclude it on most of my policies because I don't want the tenants knowing that there's a no-fault $5,000 medical expense available to the community that they can use if they get hurt playing softball one weekend and they don't have medical expense. So again, when we're analyzing general liability policy, they're really all the same. Don't get caught up in all that unless you want to and discuss it. It covers you for bodily injury and property damage. What you need to worry about on general liability, what you need to be very careful about, are the exclusions. So there are 3 that are the big bad boys. There's assault and battery. If that's excluded, that's not good. That's somebody getting hurt or shot on your premises or beaten up on your premises. Abuse and molestation, somebody getting molested, a child maybe. Or punitive damages. Those are the 3 exclusions you don't want on your policy. Make sure they're not there. Your general liability is probably going to be the same from one policy to another. I appreciate your time. Next time we're going to talk about general liability deductibles and self-insured retentions and market pricing. How do you price your liability insurance? Jim Wade, Top 4 Insurance, Better Apartment Insurance, period.